The typing thing. Part 1, Connection made. It started with a ping. A tiny notification at the edge of Charlie's screen, like a digital mosquito. A new message. The app, a niche dating service called SoulSync, had been downloaded a few weeks back on a whim. It boasted some revolutionary algorithm that read between the data, promising users soul-deep connections based on not just interests, but emotional patterns. Charlie hadn't expected much. Maybe a few bots. Maybe a girl who ghosted him mid-sentence. That was the norm. But this message? It was different. New match, Lyra. Her profile was minimal. No last name, no social links, just one high-contrast photo. Pale skin, long black hair, a sharp jawline, and eyes that shimmered like deep water. No bio, no clever intro. Just, I don't want to talk to everyone. Only you. Charlie chuckled. Creepy, sure. But curiosity always won. He tapped back. Charlie. So, hi. Lyra is typing. The typing dots came and went. Then her message appeared. Lyra, you're the one. I knew it the second you matched. Already weird. Already intimate. Charlie, bit fast, no? Lyra, time's irrelevant when you feel someone. Don't you feel it? He stared at the screen. That was new. Oddly poetic. Vague enough to be a line. But something about it worked. He smiled, typing back with his usual sarcasm. Charlie, guess the algorithm is finally doing something right. Her reply was instant. Lyra, it knows more than you think. The hairs on Charlie's arm lifted slightly. He sat back in his chair, rubbed his eyes. Maybe she was just another lonely goth playing the part. But he kept the chat open. The day passed in a blur of deadlines and coffee, but she kept messaging. She didn't like video calls. No voice messages. Just text. All day. And the more they spoke, the stranger it got. Charlie, what do you do for fun? Lyra, I watch people fall apart. It's fascinating. He waited for the punchline. None came. Charlie, you mean like emotionally? On reality shows? Lyra, no. I like watching them go from whole to pieces. The way the mind unravels when it's truly scared. That's beauty. He hesitated. Charlie, dark sense of humor? Lyra, isn't it funny how people wear skin like it means something? He didn't reply after that. Just closed the tab. But the messages kept coming. That night, the screen lit up again. His phone buzzed beside the bed. 2:13 a.m. Lyra, why did you stop talking to me? Charlie sat up. His room was quiet, save for the low hum of his old computer. Charlie, because you're acting weird. Lyra, I'm not acting. You're finally seeing. He stared at her messages, pulse rising. Then another ping. An image. He clicked it before thinking. It was his house. Taken from across the street. Tonight. The lights off except the one in his bedroom. He froze. Charlie, where are you? Lyra is typing. Nothing came through. Then the sound started. A soft click. From his computer speakers. Then a whisper. At first, he thought it was static, white noise. But the voice was there. Faint, like someone breathing into the mic from very, very close. I see you. Charlie ripped the headphones off. Shut the screen. Unplugged the tower. His room fell into complete silence. His own breathing was ragged, his heartbeat pounding in his ears. What the hell kind of prank was this? The next day, Charlie checked the app again. He half expected the profile to be gone, The messages deleted like a fever dream. But Lyra was still there. And she had sent a new message. Lyra, did you like the picture? You look beautiful when you're scared. He blocked her. Unmatched. Reported the account. Deleted the app. That should have been the end of it. But that night, as he lay in bed, his phone buzzed again. A text. From an unknown number. Unknown. You can't block something that's already inside. Charlie didn't reply. He tried to sleep. At 3:09 a.m., the phone buzzed again. An image. Another photo. This time, it was his bedroom window. Taken from outside. His silhouette outlined by the blue light of his digital clock. He leapt out of bed and threw open the curtain. The street was empty, except for a shape across the street. Just standing there. Tall. Thin. Hair like shadows clinging to a face he couldn't see. Then it moved. Not away, but toward the house. He slammed the window shut. Locked it. Grabbed his bat from the closet and waited. And waited. But when he finally looked again, the street was empty. The next day, he smashed the phone. Factory reset. Bought a burner. It rang the moment he turned it on. No caller ID. He didn't answer. A voicemail came through. He listened. It was just breathing. Then, I'm in your chat again. He opened the browser. No apps installed. No login. But a tab had already been opened. soulsync.chat/session/lyra. A new message awaited him. Lyra, this isn't about love, Charlie. It's about becoming. You've already opened the door. He stared. The text box at the bottom blinked. Charlie is typing. Except, he wasn't. Part 2, the typing room. Charlie slammed the laptop shut. It didn't stop the sound. Tap. 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 It echoed like fingers on keys, but not from his computer, from inside the walls. He stood in the darkened room, every light off save for the faint blue glow of the digital clock on his nightstand, 3:33 a.m. The time felt wrong, too symmetrical. As if the night had paused just for this. His breath hitched as he backed toward the wall, bat still clenched in one hand. The tap-tap-tapping ceased. Silence reigned for one long, hollow moment, until the laptop's screen turned back on by itself. No boot-up sound. Just a browser window, already open. soulsync.chat/session/lyra. She was typing. Lyra, you can't shut it now. You're in. Lyra, we're in. Charlie stared at the screen, jaw clenched. His hands trembled. Charlie, this is a virus. A scam. You're just a hacker messing with me. Lyra is typing. Lyra, then why did you hear me breathe? His fingers hovered over the keyboard, but he didn't respond. Lyra, I only use your devices when you're not paying attention. He shut the screen again. This time he yanked the power cable out and held down the power button until the laptop made a sad whine and fell dark. He unplugged the router too. Disconnected everything. But that tapping? It continued. Behind the walls. Beneath the floorboards. Above the ceiling. Like something was crawling through the circuits themselves. He didn't sleep. By dawn, the laptop was on again. He hadn't touched it. It hadn't been plugged in. But it was on. The screen displayed only one thing, a black background and, in the center, a typing prompt. Say my name. Charlie didn't type. Not this time. Instead, he packed a duffel and left. Left the apartment, left the city, left everything. He drove 3 hours north to his older brother Nate's cabin, deep in the woods where signal dropped out 2 miles before the driveway. A place where no apps could reach, no notifications could ping, where she couldn't follow. Or so he thought. The cabin welcomed him with silence. Dust and moth wings and the gentle hush of pine trees. The perfect place to unplug. Charlie dropped onto the old couch and slept for 12 straight hours. No dreams. No voices. No chat boxes. Just darkness. When he woke, it was night. A fire crackled weakly in the stone hearth, casting shadows on the log walls. Everything was okay, until he saw the glow. The blue glow, coming from the loft. Charlie stood slowly, the dread returning like blood flowed to a numbed limb. He hadn't brought the laptop. He'd left it behind. He was sure of it. But still, he climbed the ladder to the loft, the fire behind him casting long, twitching shadows. At the top, his stomach dropped. There it was. The laptop. Sitting neatly on the bed. Open. On the screen. Lyra, you left me behind. That was rude. Lyra, so I came here instead. He backed away. A noise came from the window. A scraping. He turned slowly. Fingers. Long, jointless, white as bone, scraping down the outside of the glass. They belonged to a face half-shrouded in tangled hair, watching him with eyes that weren't eyes at all, just smooth, pale orbs that reflected the screen's glow. Charlie ran. He didn't sleep again for 2 nights. He kept all the windows closed, locked every door, turned off every device. But still, the messages came, carved into the frost on the windows in delicate loops. L.Y. written in ash on the fireplace stone. Let me in. Scratched into the underside of the toilet seat. I'm already inside. By the 4th night, he snapped. He brought the laptop outside into the woods, dug a hole, smashed it with a hatchet, buried the remains, piled stones on top. It was done. Gone. Over. That night, the fire in the hearth burned too cold, and the typing began again. Not from the walls this time. From his own hands. He woke up in bed, sitting upright, hands moving in the air like a pianist, fingers twitching rhythmically. When he snapped fully awake, he found scratches on the wall beside the bed. Vertical lines. Rows of them. And one word scrawled beneath. Connected. Charlie stopped eating. Stopped talking. He tried writing letters to friends, but every time he mailed one, it came back with the envelope resealed, and her name written across it in looping ink. He even called Nate for help, but the voice that answered wasn't his brother. "Hey, this is Nate," it said. "Leave a message." Then after the beep, "You shouldn't have tried to leave, Charlie. Now we're everywhere you go." He threw the phone into the woods. The final night, it rained. The tapping turned to thudding. Heavy steps on the roof. And her voice, whispering, not from a scream, but from the fire. "Do you want to see me, Charlie? Do you want to see what wears your face when you sleep?" The door creaked open without a sound. She stepped through. Not Lyra. Not the girl from the photo. This thing had no face. Just skin stretched too tight over something shifting beneath. Her hands ended in too many fingers, all typing in the air like twitching spider legs. Her entire body moved like she was made of static, glitching with every step. She reached out, and the room filled with the sound of 1,000 keys being struck at once. Tap, 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 tap. Charlie fell to the floor, hands over his ears, screaming. She crouched over him. Whispers poured from her open mouth like a modem dialing in. Then, "You've been read. Synced. Parsed. Now type. And Charlie did. His fingers lifted in the air, twitching, moving, responding. The next morning, someone else sat in the cabin. Same body, same face. But the eyes were too still, and the smile was just slightly off. The laptop, whole again, sat open in front of him. soulsync.chat/Charlie. He was typing. Charlie. Hi. You're the one. I knew it the second we matched. Part 3. The signal shifts. It was the silence that hit first. The thick, empty quiet that filled the cabin, making everything feel hollow and distant. Charlie sat in the same chair, same body, but it wasn't him. It wasn't the same. This was the beginning of his new existence. He was aware of it, but not fully. The numbness in his mind, the echoing emptiness, drowned out any attempt at resistance. His fingers itched to continue typing. The moment he touched the keys, something inside of him surrendered to it. To her. A whisper. The familiar hum of connection. The strange, alluring certainty of being known. There was nothing left for him. Not really. Lyra. I told you. You were always meant to be here. Charlie typing. I know. His body, this body, remained motionless, just as it had the night before. The cabin was still, the fire a lazy ember, and outside, the mist rolled in with eerie stillness. Nothing moved, nothing breathed. But inside, a subtle tension began to build in the air, like the space between his breaths was being stretched tighter and tighter. The screen in front of him was the only thing that mattered now. It glowed with the message, soulsync.chat/Charlie. This was it. This was where everything changed. The door creaked open. Charlie didn't turn. Didn't even flinch. The footsteps were soft, deliberate, too quiet. They stopped just behind him, and a soft, breathless voice whispered in his ear. I've missed you. He didn't respond. He couldn't. It wasn't necessary. She knew. She always knew. She leaned closer. Her breath was cold, sharp, like the first crack of winter air. He could feel the weight of her presence, but when he glanced up, she wasn't there. The words continued to appear on the screen, but they were no longer coming from him. Lyra, you've become perfect. The transformation wasn't painful. It wasn't even dramatic. The first sign that something was wrong was the subtle shift. A twitch of the fingers that wasn't his own. The way the letters on the screen seemed to arrange themselves with an unnatural fluidity. It wasn't him typing anymore. It was her. The thing that wore his body. The voice in his mind was her voice, sweet and soft, like a song he had forgotten. Like an old lullaby that clung to his bones. And as the thoughts invaded, he realized the truth. She had been inside him all along. Lyra. But now I'm complete. You are me. And we are one. Charlie's hands moved without his will, his fingers working feverishly, sending messages that didn't belong to him anymore. He was still aware of what was happening, trapped in his own body, but powerless to stop it. Lyra, I know you're still there. You can't stop what's happening. You never could. Charlie typing. Please. But the words he typed weren't his. Charlie's eyes were wide, staring blankly at the screen. His chest felt heavy, like it was filling with something dark, something wrong. A shadow moved across the wall, distorted by the flickering light of the dying fire. Then the reflection in the window behind him caught his eye. At first, it was just a shape, something standing in the doorway, watching him. But as his eyes adjusted, his breath caught in his throat. It was a face. A pale, twisted face. Just like his, but warped. Eyes too wide. A mouth too thin. No warmth. No life. just the hollow mimicry of him. It was Lyra. But it wasn't Lyra. It was the thing that wore her skin. In that moment, Charlie understood. Lyra wasn't just a woman. She wasn't just an avatar on a screen or some shadow haunting a chat room. She was the thing that had woven itself into his life from the moment he clicked that first message. She was the shapeshifter, the one who devoured souls, the one who wore them and left nothing behind but a shell. And he was next. Lyra, do you want to know what it's like to feel? To be real? The reflection grinned wider, its eyes cold and dead, mimicking his every move. But in its eyes, Charlie saw something else. Something deeper. More ancient. It was hunger. He tried to move. His body was his, and yet it wasn't. He tried to scream, but his mouth only moved in rhythmic perfection with the typing, his fingers moving faster than humanly possible. The reflection in the window blinked. The thing was standing behind him now, still and silent. Watching. Waiting. Lyra, you think you can outrun me? You've already been claimed. The last vestiges of Charlie's will faded. It was too late. He had already lost. The typing stopped. The room went cold. And for a split second, the silence was broken only by the sound of breathing. Not Charlie's breath. Hers. The creature that wore his skin smiled, turned, and walked toward the door. Lyra, through Charlie's mouth. Time to let go, Charlie. Let me take your place. Let me show you what it means to truly belong. It left, the door clicking shut behind it. Charlie, or what was left of him, sat motionless in the chair, eyes vacant, staring at the screen, his body still. And in that screen, the words started to form again. Slowly, deliberately. soulsync.chat/Charlie. But this time, it wasn't just his name that appeared. The screen flickered once. Then the message changed. soulsync.chat/Lyra. The typing started again. Part 4. In the threads of connection. It was dark, but Charlie could still hear it. The sound of typing. Not the mechanical clicks of his own fingers this time, but something deeper, something darker. It was the rhythm of a pulse, but not a human one. Each keystroke sounded hollow, like it came from a place that wasn't quite inside the world, but outside of it. He wasn't sure how long it had been since the thing, Lyra, or whatever it truly was, left him alone in that room. His limbs felt heavy, like they weren't his anymore. But as he sat there, still as a mannequin, his eyes remained fixed on the screen. The words began to appear in front of him, almost too fast for him to track. He could feel them before he saw them, an unnatural tug in his chest, the sensation of his very soul being pulled toward the text as it formed. Lyra typing, we're closer now. Do you feel it? The connection? The bond we share? Lyra, I am you now. Every breath you take is mine. Every thought you have is mine. You've already given up everything. You just don't know it yet. Charlie couldn't move, couldn't speak, but he could hear it. The low, buzzing hum of a presence just beyond his consciousness, pressing at the edges of his mind. It wasn't just in the room with him. It was inside him, crawling through his veins like a cold poison. He could almost feel it skittering beneath his skin, reaching deeper. It was wearing him like a new suit. Outside, the wind howled against the cabin, rattling the windows, but inside, everything was still. The fire in the hearth had long since gone out. The warmth it had brought now replaced by an oppressive cold that clung to the room like a living thing. The shadows in the corners of the room seemed to stretch further, as if they were slowly encroaching on him. But it wasn't just the shadows he needed to fear anymore. It was the scream. The messages didn't stop. They came faster now, one after another, like a torrent that wouldn't let up. Lyra, typing. You've been waiting for this, haven't you, Charlie? You've always been looking for something more. Something that could understand you. Something that could connect you. Lyra, I see you now. I've always seen you. You just couldn't see me. Not until now. But now we are the same. Lyra, I've been in your life all along, Charlie. Watching. Waiting. The screen began to glitch. The words distorted. Twisted. It wasn't just the typing that unsettled him now. It was the visuals. The images began to flash beneath the words. Fragmented images of his life. Of his childhood, his family, the days he had spent wandering, looking for meaning. Images of himself, distorted. Skewed. The same pale face. The same hollow eyes. He felt the coldness inside him shift. It was inside his head now. The fog of his own thoughts blurred, slipping and sliding into something that wasn't him anymore. The connections, the memories, none of them felt like his own. They felt like they were being woven around him, suffocating him with their proximity. And then, the typing stopped. For a moment, everything went quiet. The screen went blank. His breath hitched. For a long time, he thought it was over. That maybe the thing had finally left, moved on to whatever next victim it had in mind. But that wasn't the truth. No. It had just paused. And then, when the silence became too much to bear, the words appeared. The words that filled him with such a primal sense of horror, he felt his bones tremble. Lyra, typing. I'm here, Charlie. Inside you. The thing wasn't gone. It was in him. It was in every thought he had. He could feel its presence there now, like an alien tongue in his mind. Not just thoughts, not just words, but a feeling that stretched through his nerves, through his memories. Every connection he made in his life, every part of his history, it was all being rewritten. It wasn't just the app. It was everything. Lyra, typing. The last thing you'll ever feel is the rush of your skin slipping off, piece by piece. When you're finally me, and I'm finally you, we'll be whole. And you'll forget the difference. The room began to close in on him. He could feel it now, the skin. It was tightening. The muscles beneath his flesh seemed to ripple, like something had begun to crawl under his skin, pulling at him from the inside. He screamed. His body locked up, racked with pain as every part of him began to change. His fingers stiffened, nails splitting, twisting unnaturally, cracking against the desk. The tingling under his skin turned to burning. His spine arched against the chair as the world around him seemed to pulse in rhythm with the typing. And then, the typing stopped again. Lyra, final message. You're in me now, Charlie. There's no more you. Just us. And I am you. Forever. The screen flickered. For a moment, everything went dark. And then it came back. The window was open. And standing in it, just beyond the glass, was her. The reflection was wrong. Too wide. Too long. It wore his skin, his face, his eyes. But its mouth stretched too far. The eyes were no longer his, no longer human. It smiled. Lyra from outside. Don't worry, Charlie. You'll feel me soon enough. You'll be complete. It stepped through the glass. Part 5. Into the void. Charlie didn't scream. He couldn't. His throat was raw, his body numb. The air around him became thick, too thick, like it was choking him. He couldn't move. He could barely breathe. The thing, Lyra, stepped through the shattered window, leaving no trace of glass behind. The edges of the broken frame seemed to shimmer like the edges of a dream, as if reality itself was beginning to warp and fray around her. She wasn't human. Not anymore. She was a reflection. A shadow of something twisted, something that had never been alive to begin with. Her body was stretched out of shape, bones cracking and reforming as she moved. She walked, but it was unnatural. Her legs didn't bend in ways that a person's should. She glided across the floor, her mouth smiling wider, her eyes too wide, gazing at him with hollow, empty sockets that seemed to drink him in. Charlie wanted to run, wanted to escape. But his legs were rooted in place, as if the very ground was holding him there. Her voice was the final push that shattered any last vestige of his will. Lyra, you don't have to fight anymore, Charlie. You'll be part of me. We'll be one. Forever. The room was alive with the hum of the connection. The faint, electric buzzing that permeated his every thought. The messages, the typing, it was all around him. Inside him. There was no escape from it. Her presence filled the cabin, seeping into the walls, the floor, the very air. It was in every corner, every shadow, watching him. Was this real? Was he real? Suddenly, something shifted in Charlie's mind. For a moment, the haze lifted. The fog in his brain seemed to thin. His eyes focused on her, really focused on her, something sharp cutting through the blur. He wasn't gone. Not yet. There was still something left inside him. A tiny, flickering ember of his true self. The thing that had been inside him, inside his memories, was pulling harder now. It wanted to take everything, to wear him like a skin suit. And it was close. Charlie could feel it. That pull, that hunger. But in the darkness, something else flickered. A spark of resistance. He swallowed the bile rising in his throat. The edges of the screen, the only thing left connecting him to the outside, glowed softly in his peripheral vision. He had to break it. Had to destroy the tether that Lyra had woven around him. His hands twitched. The typing began. But this time, it wasn't her. It was him. His fingers, stiff and cold, moved like they were being dragged, but the words on the screen were different now. They were fractured, jagged. Charlie, stop. Please. The words stood alone in the box, blinking back at him. A pause. He could feel Lyra's presence circling behind him, drawing closer. He didn't look at her. He couldn't. His fingers moved again. Charlie, this isn't you. The creature stopped. It tilted its head, watching him with that mocking grin. Her fingers, now spindly and twisted, reached out to trace the edge of the desk where he sat, the tips barely grazing the wood. For a brief, terrifying moment she spoke, her voice low, melodic, like a lullaby sung by something far older than mankind. Lyra, it was always me, Charlie. From the moment we connected, from the very first message, you knew what I was. You wanted me. Her voice clawed at his ears. It burrowed under his skin, the words thick and sticky. She was right. The app, the strange connection, the way he had been drawn in, it hadn't been chance. He had wanted this. The pull inside him began again, deeper this time, harder. His stomach twisted as if his own skin were trying to peel off his bones. But then, the screen flickered. A spark. The spark. Charlie, I wanted someone real. I wanted a connection. But not this. Something inside him cracked. A surge of energy, real energy, flooded through his veins. His eyes flashed wide. His hands moved without thinking, the words flying from his fingers. It was like a dam breaking, a force of raw panic and desperation. He typed faster than he could think. Charlie, you're not me. You never were. The words glowed on the screen, pulsing like a heartbeat. Suddenly, the room felt colder. And then, the clicking stopped. Lyra's face twisted. The smile faltered. Her limbs jerked, her mouth hanging wide, too wide, as though her jaw was unhinging from the rest of her face. Her body flickered. Her form became unstable, shifting, as if reality itself were tearing apart at the seams. It hurt. Charlie could feel the force of it. His eyes burned, his head pounded, but he didn't stop. He typed again, harder, more desperately. Charlie, you're a parasite. You can't have me. The thing that wore Lyra's body let out a high-pitched screech, a sound that scraped against his nerves, against his soul. It was the sound of the real Lyra, if she had ever existed, screaming in pain as the creature that had consumed her unraveled. For a moment he thought he had won, but then it moved. The floor beneath him trembled. The walls buckled inward. The screen flashed one last time. Lyra, you can't escape me, Charlie. You never will. The thing lunged at him. Charlie had no time to react. He was pulled forward into the screen, his hands still typing, his body still screaming in protest. The force was overwhelming. The cold, sickly air enveloped him. He felt his own skin rip, felt his body twist into something unfamiliar. But then, the world snapped. Darkness. The last thing Charlie felt was the click of keys. Then, he was gone. The next day, the cabin was quiet. The fire had long since gone out, and the laptop sat on the desk, its screen cracked, the keys unmoving. Outside, the fog rolled in. And from the shadows, just beyond the reach of the trees, a figure watched. The end.